Okay, so we are in gate Ordu Zahar, right? And we're at the gate of self-accounting, 673. Number 3. It says, one should make a reckoning of and contemplate the great favor God has bestowed upon him in granting him intelligence and insight together with many precious and noble qualities which give him superiority over non-rational living creatures, as is written, who has taught us more than the beasts of the earth and made us wiser than the birds of the heaven. That's in Job. And he should consider this. If he had been bereft of intelligence and insight, and a fellow man then supplied him with these faculties, and he realized superiority of his present condition over his former state, would he all his life and a full measure of days be sufficient for continuous thanks and praise due this man for what he had done? The obvious answer is no. Okay. How much greater is the duty of gratitude to the Creator may be exalted, who favors us, whose favors to us are endless, and whose graces upon us are without bound, as is written, manifold are the acts that you have performed, Hashem, my God, your wondrous deeds and thoughts toward us. I declare and pronounce none can compare with you. Your wonders are too great to recount. I'm going to tell you a very simple secret. Anybody wants to be rich, anybody wants the right wife, anybody wants the right husband, everybody wants a good family, it's very simple, gratitude. Show gratitude. Learn 2 simple words. Thank you. You learn thank you, you're going to go far in this world. If you don't, if you refuse to say thank you, you're not going to go anywhere. You're bitter. You think everybody owes you, right? Please and thank you. My parents taught me that as a child. We were talking about this morning. Okay, the common courtesy is important, and you're learning it from here too. Because when things go well for me, or they don't go well for me, right? You have to thank God for everything. Because even though you think it's bad for you, it's not bad. Think about when you were punished by your parents. Your parents, unless they're demonic, did not punish you because they were just into power trips. They punished you, or do punish you, because they want to teach you not to do something. Okay? My daughter reminded us that we grounded her at one time for something, and she thanked us while after that. She said, "Thank you for bringing us up that way," because she saw other people who the parents apparently didn't reprimand their children, and they're spoiled brats. And she said, "Thank you so much for what you did." Now, I have to admit, as a parent, I really appreciated my 19-year-old saying that to me, because it vindicated all those horror stories I had. I knew they were going to get videos because we took videos of all these things. I figured one day they're going to sue us for the videos. Say, look what you did to us. Okay, you played it. But that's what God wants from us too. When we ask God for something, God answers every prayer. Every single prayer you made to God, He answered. And sometimes it was no. And what happened? She said, God didn't answer my prayer, which means what?
He said no.
No. When you say God did not answer my prayer, what did you mean? That's right. Anytime I don't get what I want, God doesn't listen to my prayers. He did. He said no. Deal with it. Like when you ask your father for a car. Said, "Daddy, could you please buy me a brand new Corvette?" And your father said, "Honey, of course I will. Let's go. I'm going to put it on my bill." And you went, right. All right? He says, "No." And you say, "You don't love me." Okay. No. You can do what you want. I mean, whatever game you want to play, but your father is saying, "You don't need that car. It's not good for you." Corvette, red Corvette, girl, blonde? No, doesn't work. You're really blonde. If you get blonde, what do you call it? The sunglasses. I saw a girl that literally she was the Barbie, and she had the red Corvette pulled over by a cop. I think they just pulled her over because she looked damaged. I don't know what she was doing. But, it's crazy. Like, you set yourself up for disaster at that point. But really, that's what it is. It's funny because I saw the stereotype of what is going on there. But when we ask God for something and we don't get it, God's answering us. He's saying, no, it's not what you need right now. How many times have you prayed for a better job or for more money because you want to do something for your family? You had all the good intentions in your heart. And God looked at you and said, not yet. Not yet. It's not time. And why don't you listen to me? Which means, I know better than you, God, what's good for me. Let me tell you how to run the world. And God's saying, yeah, okay, go back. Don't worry. You'll get what you need, and sometimes more, if I so desire. Sometimes I'll give you a gift too. But it's only going to be for your good. Okay, so that's what he's saying to us. We have to thank God for everything. And the more gratitude we show towards God, and by the way, that starts interpersonally. The more I condition myself to say thank you for things. In other words, my wife makes supper. My wife doesn't need to make supper. God bless her, she makes supper at night. She doesn't need to. She can say to me one time, you're a big boy. You need something? Go to the refrigerator. That's the big box in that room called the kitchen. Open it up and look what you want. If you can't find anything, you're going to starve. Okay, because you open up, your wife sends you to the thing. Can you please get the milk? You open it up. It's not here. Which means, by the way, ladies, it means you put it back in the wrong place. Because men only know how to look in one place for the milk. It should be on the door, on the back. If it's not in those two places, it's not there. So what happens? Your wife comes over and says, you don't have any eyes. It's right here. And she moves everything around right here. How am I supposed to know where you hid the stuff? Well, if you move it around, that's what gets these stupid arguments, okay? But really it's because the woman doesn't understand the man, and the man doesn't understand the woman, so we get it. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Read the book; it's worthwhile. But really, that's what's going on. Men are very simple. We look in front and we see it's not in front of our eyes. It's not there. If it's not in the place that we knew it to be, it's not there. Deal with it. Okay? Women don't do that. Women look around. They know where everything is. It's so amazing. But again, my wife could say to me, if you can't find it, you'll starve. But God bless her, she doesn't do that. She makes a supper. If I can't find something, she finds it for me. Okay? And so on and so forth. But again, so when that happens, by the way, I could just say, why'd you hide it? Or I could say, thank you. My choice. Now, what's going to happen if I say thank you?
She'll feel good.
She'll feel good about it. If I say, why'd you hide it? What's she going to do? We're going to have a fight. So why would I want to do that? And guys, do it. Because your wife will say to you, you couldn't find it on your own, and you want to come back with a zinger. If you wouldn't hide it, I wouldn't have to look that hard. And so the answer is, no, without you, honey, I can't find anything. Thank you so much for helping me. There's no comeback to that. There's no comeback. Deal with the ladies. There's none. The women will say, okay, because she's vindicated. You admitted you're a man. That's it. And it works the other way too. I mean, what happens? You get in the car. I don't know if it's true. I'm being very stereotypical here, so I apologize if you don't do it. But how many times have you walked in your car and saw it's empty? Okay. At the gaps, you look at you get and the things that near it E, and you're thinking, my wife's been in the car the whole day. She couldn't fill it up. And then you go and you fill it up, and then okay, so you say, okay, fine. And then what happens? If you so desire, you actually pop the hood and you look at the oil because it's not running right, and you realize there's basically nothing in it, no oil there. And you're thinking, oh my God, what is going? Come on! So you go to your wife and you say, honey, it would be so nice. You shut off nice. It would be so nice if you could just, if you see it at quarter a tank, it's not good to really run the gas stuff that much down. So could you, I know you're a busy woman, but could you just fill it up? And while you're doing that, check the oil. She's looking and she'll look at you. You want me to what? How do you check the oil? That's if the father didn't show or if she never showed her. And I should open the hood. That's your job. You're the male. Okay, right? Again, I don't know. I know your family structure, but this is common discussions which people get into. And instead of the wife just saying, honey, thank you so much for doing it. Really, I leave it in your thing because you know what you're talking about. I don't. The man feels good about himself. It's a simple thing, simple ego. And the husband will gladly go fill it up and take care of it. Once he knows his role, he'll do it. Right? Am I right or wrong? If you yelled at, then you're not going to do it. Why did you take the garbage out? Yeah, I'll get to it. It's not going to be done. As compared to, could you please take the garbage out? Thank you so much. That will get done. Okay? So again, this is what he's saying about God, basically. That when I appreciate God, God will give you so many more favors. It'll be great. I wouldn't have to worry about where my next paycheck is coming from. God is going, because I love God so much. Everything, when I don't get paid on time, when something doesn't work, I say thank you for that too. Sincerely. Thank you for that too. It's only for my good that you're withholding this for whatever reasons. And by the way, sometimes you'll find out that the stock market crashed, whatever is going on. So if you would have invested at that point, it wouldn't have been good. You would have lost your money. So by holding it off, it was good. Fine. So whatever the game is. But we have to thank God. And once you appreciate God, that's what he's bringing out. Once you do that, things change. Your whole life changes. Can you imagine everything you just keep thanking God for? Again, negative, positive, there's nothing bad that can happen to you. Every single thing is going on because you realize it's all for your good. Again, it's like when your parents reprimanded you. It was for your good. They didn't do it just to be cruel. So neither is God. That's what the Rabbachi is trying to get across here.
So many of the courses we take here, we see that our relationship with God,
right,
and our behavior, this being thankful and giving praises constantly and accepting, whether you get what you ask for or you don't get, all of that behavior modification, if you transfer that over to your relationship with people,
right,
you'll have a very happy, successful life.
Correct.
And
Correct.
The 5 commandments on the one side and the 5 on the other, that you try to keep moving up and you try to move side to side, but it's your God relationship that becomes the model for behavior.
Correct. Correct. And that's what I say. We can start it with interpersonally, and if I appreciate you, and I say thank you to you for what you do. And I'm not looking for false praise. I'm not saying, you know what I mean when I say thank you. And please, and just being that sort of common courtesy, you're going to recognize that you don't have to do it for me. It's not mandatory. It wasn't put into your contract as a married husband and wife. What you're doing, maybe you should, but it wasn't put in that you have to do this and I have to do this. Okay? When you go to work, even there, it's not such a written contract. If I'm doing any job, there's always some question as to, do I have to do this or don't I have to do this? And if you treat me right, I'm going to do it because you like me and you compliment me and you appreciate my work. I will do more for you than if you say, what are you, an idiot? You didn't know that. I'm not interested. Call me an idiot all you want. The more you call me an idiot, the less I'm going to do for you. Okay, I'll just do the bare minimum of what I need to do. Okay, so again, that's what's going on. So one should make a reckoning with himself of God's extraordinary favor to him and rousing him to his life source in both worlds through a noble, faithful Torah given to remove his blindness, wipe out his ignorance, enlighten his eyes, and draw him close to God's will. A Torah that informs him with a true conception of his Creator and of his duty toward him. By fulfilling this duty, his happiness in both worlds may be complete. As is written, God's Torah is perfect, restoring the soul. God's testimony is sure, making wise the simple. God's precepts are just, rejoicing the heart. God's commandment is pure, enlightening the eyes. He should contemplate the following. If while aware of the Torah's eminence, he was unable to have any part in it, and then he met someone who helped him to attain it? Would his efforts to properly thank and praise this individual or his power to do so ever be sufficient? How much more so then, if this is this the case in regard to the Creator who awakens him to it, gives him the capacity to understand it, and helps him with it? The very least of what we owe him in the way of gratitude is to rush to adhere to his Torah and to hasten to accept his commands and prohibitions, as is written, I hasten and do not delay to observe your commandments. How I love your Torah! It is my meditation all day long, and how sweet is your word on my palate. So here's a nice thing to say. We have to appreciate God giving us the Torah, and of course, how do you do that? How do you show your appreciation? By studying it and living it. It's as simple as it gets. Okay, so one should also make a personal accounting of his delay in coming to understand God's Torah and his contentedness with not grasping his contents. Now here he's going to start smashing people. Okay, he gave this whole thing about thanking, and now he's saying, okay, let's get into what Cheshbon HaNefesh is. Because you're not, what happens is, we all know there's a Torah out there, right? Everybody knows there's a Torah out there. Again, we're talking Jews. Every Jew knows there's a Torah out there. So if you know there's a Torah out there, and you know it's the guide to life, why aren't you learning it? That's his question. You can get all the philosophy in the world you want. But bottom line is, you have the instruction. Imagine you buy a you buy a lawnmower. It comes with an instruction booklet. You ever buy a lawnmower? Anybody? No? Nobody bought a lawnmower? Oh, okay. You buy a lawnmower and you get an instruction booklet with it. If you don't read the instruction booklet and you never used a lawnmower, you may never start it up. Because what you have to do is, well, one is you have to put gas in. You have to put the gas in the right container. You have to put oil in. You also have to put the spark plug in and make sure it's connected. Mm-hmm. And more than that, depends on which lawnmower you have again, you have to squeeze it and pull that thing and let it go. Okay? Now all these things, anybody who's ever had a lawnmower doesn't need to read the book that much, but if you never had imagine never seeing a lawnmower, and suddenly I give it to you as a gift, and I say, here's the book to read. But don't start it, that's what everything says. Don't start it until you've read the entire book, right? Nobody ever reads the book, so they just think that what they're doing is right, and normally again what they do is right. But but again, I remember one time when my father bought a lawnmower from the store. The salesperson said to him, "I'll sell it to you on condition." I was like crazy. I was there. I'll only sell it to you on condition that you put oil into the crankcase in front of me. My father looked at him and said, "Are you crazy? Why would I want to do that in the store and I have to put it in my car?" He said, "I won't sell it to you unless you do it." I said, "No, if you give me a reason, I'll think about it. But without a reason, I'm walking away. Your choice." My father was a haggler in those days. So the guy said to my father, because we sold a lawnmower to somebody recently, and they didn't put oil in the crankcase, they just filled it with gas, because he assumed it came with oil. They assumed it came. So they burned out the motor, and we had to take the return. So we decided that, well, we can't put the oil in, because then you can't sell the machine either. So we want you to do it in front of us. My father looked down and said, "I can't believe some people be that stupid, but okay. Put the oil in, no problem." He said, "I'll put it in my car. You'll help me put it in the car so it won't spill." Fine. But that's what it was. So you have people who will buy this and not do what they're supposed to do, all because they didn't read the booklet. So now, that's a lousy lawnmower that doesn't really take much brains, if you will, to get the thing going. When it comes to life, we always say, your parents, I guarantee you, told you, we didn't get an instruction booklet when you were born. You ever say that to your kids?
Oh.
Yeah, you did, right?
I
Come on.
don't say that, but I heard it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Most parents like to say to their kids, especially in your age, 18, 19, we made mistakes because you know what? You didn't come with an instruction booklet. Okay? And the answer is, oh yes, you did. It's called the Torah. It's called the Torah. And you refused to study it. That's all. Okay? That's what Rav Bachya is saying to us. You have a guide to life here, and you decided to not look at it. You decided to wait. It was going to come by osmosis or whatever. And so he says, he would not act this way in regard to a book that came to him from a human king in the event that he was not sure of its meaning, for example, because of incomprehensible writing, handwriting or diction, the depth, subtlety, or complexion of its material, or its rhetorical style. Rather, he would focus his mind and concentrate all his thoughts in order to understand its meaning, and he would be greatly distressed until he understood its intention. Now, if he would go to such lengths to understand the book of a human being weak and mortal like himself, how much greater is it his obligation to go far beyond this in order to understand the book of his God, which is the source of life, of his life. As it says, for it is the source of your life and long endurance. How could you permit yourself, my brother, to neglect it and be content with what is easily understood and readily apparent while disregarding the rest? Do you realize how faulty and disreputable your behavior has been in this regard? Does it not resemble the conduct of one of whom it is said, you praised the gods of silver and gold, of bronze and iron, of wood and stone, who do not see or hear or know anything, but the God in whose hand are your soul and all your ways you do not glorify. So again, he's giving everybody real musar, real ethical teaching here to say, wake up. You have to study. You have to study the book. Now, Rav Bachya, if this was rewritten today, Americans would look at him and say, "What? We have a constitution. Most Americans do not know the Constitution of the United States of America, and most of them don't even know the preamble." Unless you watch TV on Saturday mornings in the old days, okay? There was something called American School Rock, okay, something like that. But so, yeah, so that they taught you how to sing, "We the People." But for the most part, nobody knows the Constitution. Nobody knows what the amendments are. Nobody knows is it a freedom of religion, from religion, or whatever. Is that even part of it? And so, what's the Federalist Papers? We're not taught that. Most people don't learn it, and they don't learn the history of the United States of America and how everything came up. We don't even know what it means by that blacks were 3/5 vote, or why that was written in, right? Most people will not know that. You say that to most college kids, do you know the Constitution was 3/5 of a black person was a 3/5 of a vote? And they'll be just, how can they say that? Oh, it's white, prejudiced people, whatever they want to say, because it's the founding fathers. Right? Slave owners, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but if you look into history and find out why they did that, it destroys the argument of the left versus the right, or whoever they were. I forget the names of the parties, but it was the Southerners versus the Northerners. But what were the Whigs? No, what was the original Democratic Party called? The original Democratic. Yes, that's wrong. We're horrible Americans. We don't know the original.
In England, it was
the Whigs.
The Whigs and the Tories.
Right, but when they came over here, they weren't. There was something else. Yeah. But the point is that there's a reason for all of this. And as Americans, we don't know our own, and we're only 50 years old, a little more actually at this point. But we're very young as a country, and we forgot all our history. So if Rav Bachya was speaking today, we were looking and say, no, we wouldn't care about that either. So it's interesting that argument wouldn't hold. Because we do have the quote-unquote king giving us the Constitution. That was the Congress, the founding fathers who gave us in 1776. I mean, really, it wasn't that long ago, historically. And yet, we don't know it. So if we don't know that, you really expect me to know something that's going to be 3,000 years old? I mean, that would be the American response. I have to say it. We don't even know what was written yesterday, so. But that's on us, okay? And we really should learn these sort of things. Now he says, a person should make an accounting when he senses in himself an inclination to rebel against the Creator and to break his covenant. He should reflect and meditate on all that he has perceived with his senses of the world's roots and branches, and of its simple elements and complex beings, of that which is above and that which is below, how they all exist by God's word and keep his covenant. Has he ever seen any of them deviate from the restraining bond of God's service, rebel against his word, or break his covenant? And the answer, of course, is no. You don't. A tree blooms in the spring, loses its leaves in the fall, remains barren in the winter, and then magically blooms again. Okay, your grass at a certain point will stop growing in the winter, and in the summer and in the springtime magically grow ridiculously fast, and then over the summer it will slow down. Right? First you have to mow it every other day, and then because of the rain, okay, and then it slows down for some strange reason. It's going into that. Okay, so nature works continually as it should. By the way, the weathermen are continually wrong. I want you to know. I watched. Today was supposed to be. What, he wants to be a weatherman?
No, he doesn't like weathermen. He's always saying.
Yeah, they're wrong. Today I was checking out the thing because I have a pool and so if it's going to rain, I'd rather cover it, because otherwise all the dirt goes in from the rain and the leaves and everything, so it's not worth it to me. So I'd rather cover it. So I looked on the thing today and it said thunderstorms.
Yeah.
So I looked at it last night, I saw it, and I really don't believe in I call them the VA sheker, false prophets. But since I have to clean the pool, I figured why not, it's really nothing for me to cover it. So I told my son, like, let's cover it. We covered it last night, and then this morning I wake up, not a cloud in the sky. My telephone said cloudy.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I looked, I said, there's no clouds, but cloudy, okay. So then I looked and it said, at 1 o'clock, it's going to start. Fine, my kid's still in camp, what do you want? So I was working here. At 1 o'clock, the sun is shining. 2 o'clock, the sun is shining. 3 o'clock, the sun is beautiful. So I went home. I said, okay, listen, cover the pool, because my kid was home already. Uncover the pool. Go ahead, go swimming. I figured if it's going to start lightning, so they know to get out. Okay, fine. And 5 o'clock, I walk upstairs. It's still sunny. I went swimming. I said, okay, it's crazy. And right now, thank God, it's still sunny. They don't know what they're talking about. But we give them a lot more credit than we do anybody else, right? Okay.
They do
And
a window instead of a cell phone.
right. That's why tonight I don't know if I'll cover it or not. I have to figure out if I'm going to cover it. But really, weather, not even the weather patterns rebels against God. It works according to what God says, not the weatherman. So I agree with you. And I'm glad, by the way, I'm very happy that Hashem didn't cause it to rain, because it allowed my kids to swim. Everybody has a good time. That's it. So imagine what would happen if one of them were to violate God's commandments. Man would cease to exist. For example, if one of the elements were to violate God's covenant and change its nature, or if the earth were to leave the center and the waters of the ocean were to flood out, bursting their bounds and engulfing the earth's surface, would a man be left on the face of the earth? Well, not without God telling him to make a box to save himself and put all the animals in there like he did Noah, but no, otherwise not. So even more wonderful is the case of one's own physical organs. If they would violate God's covenant with them, vis-a-vis a man. For example, if the organs that are naturally mobile were to become immobile, or those naturally immobile were to become mobile, or if the senses did not supply men with what they were appointed to bring them, then his constitution would break down, his structure would come apart, and his control fail. How then can a man not be ashamed to violate his Creator's covenant in a world that has not violated God's covenant in his regard, which, when he does so with the help of his organs and limbs, appointed by God to serve and support him, that have not violated God's covenant in this regard. You got that? In other words, my body is working the way it should because God told it to work that way. So how can I use that which God gave me to serve him to break the law? That's what he's asking. Consider the following analogy. Let us say that there was a king who ordered a group of his servants to ferry one of his ministers with the utmost care over a mighty river to a certain place at a fixed time. The king then ordered the minister to do certain things for them in that situation and at that time. The servants followed the king's order in regard to the minister, but the minister neglected to execute the king's order in regard to them. One of the servants then said to the minister, "You who neglect the king's command, do you not fear that one of us will act towards you as you have acted? And will disobey the king's order to take care of you as you have disregarded the order concerning us? Are you not afraid that you will fall into this mighty river and die a cruel death? Correct your error by repenting and begging forgiveness, because the king ordered us to neglect. Your safety in the event that you neglected his order concerning us." The minister awoke from his negligence and rectified his error. So, and you, my brother, reflect for a moment. Has any one of your organs or limbs ever failed to comply with the Creator's instructions concerning you when you wished to use it? Surely you know that the Creator has stipulated in his faithful Torah that if you serve him, everything in the world will be at your disposal and command. But if you defy his word, everything will defy your will. This is clearly stated in Parsha in Bechokotai, and namely, if you follow my laws and other passages. So he's saying to us, and we'll end up here, that God gave us all these things. Everything works in order. We're the only ones who have free will to not do something. Okay, we're the only part of creation that is the unknown. We have a responsibility to follow this, because we don't want rebellion from everything else, so we have to show respect to God too. That's what he's getting across to us. And the only way to do that, of course, is to study the Torah and to implement them. Okay? Any questions?